Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 Pro Bots cast. You guys love these videos, and so I'm gonna keep on doing them as long as I have the free time. Golden Aura is the map for today. We have got two bots that I've definitely cast before. I was actually wondering as I clicked on this, I'm like, do I cast these bots too much? And it's like, well, no, it's always good to see these two play, as the games are always unique. And so in the top left, we've got Sharkbot, who I think it has been a while since I've cast Sharkbot. Then we have TyrT in the bottom right. Tyr, probably one of the bots I've cast the most, but just because of all the iterations like TRP and TRZ, I believe. Now, Sharkbot going for a bit of a test tickle. Going for a harassment with what? I don't know how many probes that was, like 5 probes crossing the map, just utilizing the bot unlimited APM. And this is very much something that could totally destroy a lesser bot. If you like don't have a good response programmed for this kind of thing. For example, I'm sure some bots in the older days, I know some bots in the older days would have pulled like all their SCVs against something like this and not mind. TRT is just cool as a cucumber. A few SCVs, skirmishing with the probes, that's about it. Sharkbot is actually going for a cannon while this is going on, though. We'll see if Tyr is going to register this as a big threat. I mean, it's very delayed, though. There's a Marine about to pop out. I think this should be totally fine, although another cannon is going to go up. How many workers have died here? One SCV has gone down, but there we go. A Marine's out, SCVs are on the cannon. I think that this is a pretty darn good defense. The bots are also talking up a storm here, as Sharkbot says, shucks. The cannon will actually finish up, and that is actually a big deal. This supply depot is going to be forfeit. There's really nothing to shut this down from Tyr just yet. So the fact that that cannon was not killed is huge. I really thought that Tyr was just gonna shut that down with the Marines and the SCVs, but I guess it didn't focus it well enough. So while Tyr's response to the harassment was very good, playing it sort of passive, its actual response to the cannons when the threat escalated was not enough. The Marines killing off the probes. This one probe is actually a menace. It's got 2 kills. It's looking for a third as it just keeps zapping away these SCVs. That Marine will shut it down, but oh boy, this is going to get more and more serious for Tyr. Now, we got to keep in mind on this side of the map for Sharkbot was a massive delay due to all those probes that were pulled. So that's a big deal. Now, while this is going on, though, the rush is continuing on. We've got 4 cannons out, a Zealot on the way. We'll see if there's going to be any further tech for Sharkbot. No gas just yet. It sends a probe down to the natural, so potentially an expansion on the way. This could just be sort of like an expansion-focused build. Eventually, Tyr will need a Cyclone or a cannon to clean this up. There's no way around that. The Zealot's about to pop out, but there's 3 Marines out, so I think that Tyr should be fine. And I didn't have too much of a chance to do an intro. Oh, this is not good, though. This is some high-level buggage from Tyr, as this Zealot is going to kill the Marines. The Marine's not shooting at all. Yeah, looks like Sharkbot's harassment really is getting the better of Tyr in this game. This Marine will kite the Zealot. We'll see if he gets caught. And oh, he actually will go down. So this Zealot is now running unchecked. The tank's on the way, but there's 2 Zealots. They could potentially kill that. Sharkbot really does seem to be running away with this game. It's all going to depend what happens with this tank. There's a supply depot in the mineral line messing up Tyr's mining. That's not good. Another Marine pops out. That's in trouble. We'll see what this tank is going to focus on when it pops out. This one tank can, in theory, clean up the Zealots, clean up all the tanks, and allow this game to continue on. The tank's going to siege, though, and there's Zealots in its space. We better hope that there's some SCVs pulled to repair this. Okay, there is. So now cannons are going down. Another Marine popped out. This cannon is going to be cleaned up. That siege tank is not being worked on. Sharkbot's spamming an emoji. I can't quite tell what that one is. The tank and Marines looks like they are kind of cleaning this up, as the Zealots are bugging out a little bit now here. Not necessarily bugging out, more just behaving oddly compared to what a human would do. Another tank pops out. The Zealots will be cleaned up, and it looks like Sharkbot will hold on here. Sharkbot says, oh, I almost forgot, tries to throw up a battery. That's Does not get up, though, and the tanks will clean this up. The tank is the Terran tool for cleaning this up. And Sharkbot now has an expansion on the way behind this, so we will advance to a somewhat normal game. I think Tyr's in quite an alright position, based off the fact that Sharkbot delayed itself oh so much to make this happen. Now, Sharkbot does have an extra base on the way. Tyr does seem to keep losing SCVs as it runs them forward into the tanks for some reason. That's not great to see, as that is drastically affecting the SCV count of Tyr until these cannons are cleaned up. Yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose of this is. Like, why do you send one SCV to its death? Why must you be like this, Tyr? Why the sacrifices? One more SCV is going to go down. A Reaper's on the way for Tyr. I suppose that's to scout. Sharkbot, though, can just macro up behind this with 28 to 15 workers. That being said, worker counts are not indicative of which bot's going to win. More like a pro game or a human game of Starcraft 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I got distracted a bunch here. Hit that like button if you haven't already. We're 6 minutes into this game, so let's go for 6 likes on this video. Join the Discord, which is linked down below. If you haven't subscribed, if you're not a subscriber and you're just checking out these bot matches, consider becoming a YouTube member if you do want to directly support this content. And yeah, leave a comment. More bots down below if you want to see more bots. Okay. Fort Knox being established here for Tyr, 4 tanks and 3 Vikings. So I think Tyr is pretty darn safe. Of course, it doesn't know it yet. It did make a Reaper, and it is scouting out, so it actually kind of does know it at this point. Sharkbot, though, is going for a couple of gateways, going for a prism, so harassment is likely in the future. That being said, it is just a 1-base Terran, so harassment options really are limited here. Tyr slowly rebuilding its SCV count after that big economic blow, so Sharkbot really will surge ahead in the number of units in the economy. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this game's going to develop. I mean, Tyr has a fairly significant army compared to that of Sharkbot. An attack here might not do too poorly if it's executed correctly. It looks like an SCV is moving out. This is just for an expansion, I'd assume, though, based on the 1 SCV. So yeah, Tyr just gonna set up shop and defend here. That 1 prism that's out is going to be a big threat with the Stalkers. However, the Vikings should be able to deal with that with relative ease as long as they get assigned to that prism correctly. And then yeah, the 4 Stalkers may kill some workers depending on the micro, but I think Tyr should be able to deal with this. Okay, let's take a look at an Immortal on the way here for Sharkbot, a 2nd Immortal, so those are going to do well versus tanks in the future. In comes the Prism, Stalkers harassing, Vikings moving. The tanks stay siege, so it's just going to be the Vikings and the Marines to deal with this, and they'll actually do just a fine job of dealing with that. Complete shutdown, that's exactly what Tyr needed in this game. Being able to kill that off. Let's see, that Viking may just get repaired by those SCVs. Yes, he does. Lots of love there. So Tyr really needed that. Definitely needs some more in this game, though, as it looks like Sharkbot is going to be looking towards a 3rd base. Okay, as that Protoss ground army grows and grows and grows, Tyr still waiting on that 2nd base to finish up. Going to transfer some SCVs already, so we'll be getting quite an economic boost. Both bots really just building off very minimal tech. I'll say that Sharkbot's at least building a little bit more with Immortals on the way and a 3rd Nexus. And then let's take a look here. Yeah, Tyr's really just making a couple Marines. That's all it can afford for the most part. Ship armor on the way for Sharkbot, which is quite interesting. And then +1 melee. So a bit of a odd bunch there. I'm not sure if that's just for like prism defense or what. I imagine it is, with a Robo Bay on the way, potentially for prism speed, that kind of thing. That's the only way that it makes sense. Then again, it's bots, so they don't necessarily always make sense. And then, yeah, Sharkbot just securing up that 3rd base. Tyr's chilling on 2 bases, making Medivacs, more Marines on the way, but really minimal tech here for Tyr. And that's not going to bode well for the long game, I think. If Sharkbot does decide to start producing Colossus, that's going to be very hard to contend with non-upgraded Marines. Both these bots cruising at a casual 33,000 APM, or combined, only like 15,000 each, which is pretty lame. But you know, Anyway, we've got 3 more probes on the way at a time for Sharkbot. Just macroing up. Good to see. Tyr really lagging behind in that. A couple of extra racks on the way, +1 melee on the way, or +1 infantry weapons on the way. Hallucination going down. Oh, a lot of SCVs are not mining here. I'm not sure what that hugging of the command center was about. Disruptors on the way here for Sharkbot, so that prism speed could potentially be a play if that robo gets used to upgrade that. There's the prism on the way. Suddenly that ship armor makes a little bit more sense. I'm not going to say it makes a ton of sense, but it makes a little bit of sense. And let's see, yeah, Sharkbot just secured up on 3 bases. Tyr is going to be looking to get up yet another racks, get up yet another command center, so just macroing up very slowly. These bots are very chatty Cathy's today, by the way, or at least Sharkbot is. Just talking. Okay, a Dark Shrine now on the way here for Sharkbot, so gonna have that tech at its disposal. There's the Prism Speed on the way, Charge on the way as well. I mean, Sharkbot is quite ahead in this game, I'll say, just off the tech and everything, but then again, 2-base Terran is not something that you can sleep on at all. Although, Sharkbot is heading towards the 3rd base, or Tyr is heading towards the 3rd base, and definitely needs it if you look at the saturation on this base. Okay, let's take a look here. APM, pretty darn high right now. 30k for Sharkbot, 12k for Tyr. I wonder if the bot with the higher APM is the one that's going to be more likely to win, or not. That's actually a statistic I guess you could in theory see. Let's take a look. Templar Archives on the way here for Sharkbot. DT's on the way. Disruptor's on the way, but Tyr's moving out. It's got the tanks. It's got the unupgraded bio. Now, tanks are very difficult for bots to deal with, but there's a Disruptor that goes out, a big fan out of the Marines, but it's not going to be enough. I am very concerned right now here for Tyr. I mean, the Marines are putting out a good amount of damage. They do have that +1 attack, so while they don't have stim, they're doing work. The tanks are just shelling away, and there's been very, very poor engagement, or a very poor engagement here from Sharkbot. The Prism was trying to do some work, but really it basically just needed to A-move on top of the army, I think. Zealots are coming out doing some work, but the Immortals are all just sitting in the back, actually, for Sharkbot. So Tyr coming in with a very lethal attack, but looks like it will be going back. But not a bad trade at all. That was a lot of dead Stalkers and Zealots. And, I mean, Tyr lost some Marines, I think. That's mainly it. Yeah, really just some Marines. So not a bad engagement at all. Sharkbot's defense didn't quite come together there, but Tyr's not going to take it any further. Going to scare up that 3rd base behind us, and the game will continue on into a nice macro match. Now, a breather for the Protoss may just be what Sharkbot needs, as it is getting up Psystorm. Colossus are very good. Let's see. A DT moving on in. Is there a scan? No scan. There is a turret at the natural. I believe there may have already been a DT or 2 that got killed. Yes. So a scan did go down at some point. 4th base on the way. A scan will reveal that DT, however. That DT realizes the scan runs out and is going to run into the natural and die. A bit unfortunate there. 4th base on the way for Sharkbot, but if we take a look, 4ths are on the way for both bots. So Tyr is looking a little bit better here. Sharkbot is still just building up, making a Phoenix, actually, which is interesting. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is. I guess counter the Vikings, protect the Colossus. Tyr is going to be moving across the map for another attack. There is Combat Shield 1-1 and Stim for this one, so this attack could do pretty darn well as well. A couple Marines see a DT. The DT runs right past the turret, but does actually make it. SCV's engaging. Oh, the DT does go down. No more scans are burned. Hopefully for Tyr's sake, we'll see a couple more turrets get put up. Sharkbot is trying to just do the trickle DT method, which is very effective at times. Constantly forcing your Terran opponent to burn out scans, but I don't know if that's going to be too significant here, as Tyr has ballooned up in supply, taking the lead from Sharkbot, going to be moving in for an attack. It's just the original 4 tanks here, not another one has been made, but tanks are no joke. We see a Disruptor in the Prism, gonna drop out, gets a pretty decent connection. Sharkbot says, follow me, But still, just its engagement is not going too darn well. The Immortals, the Colossus back up. A large portion of this army is not actually fighting. I guess they're assigned not to skirmish or something. And that's the mode Sharkbot is in right now, just using Stalkers and the Prism and the Disruptor. Skirmishing, basically. Disruptor goes out, gets a couple of kills, but not really getting enough done there, and then the main army is just sitting back here. At some point, Sharkbot's going to have to pull the trigger with that force and make it actually engage, but that moment has yet to come, and if that moment hasn't come yet, when is it going to? So a bit of bad army management here from Sharkbot. It's definitely had a good army, a better army most of the game, I'd say, but then it just hasn't done anything. Colossus is just hanging tight on this third base. Really nothing else going on, though. Marines are engaging forward. Battery overcharge is popped, but at some point Sharkbot's got to engage, and it's just not happening. The economy has been zapped down. Really just this third base mining and feedback goes down. But I think TYR has actually done it here. I'll say honestly, off the back of poor battles by Sharkbot, a lot of idle units not really doing too much. And yeah, TYR just went for an attack that worked, sort of brought it back in the game, and Sharkbot was idle, perhaps a little bit too idle in this match, despite having an early lead. A great opening, but yeah, I think we are witnessing the end here. It looks like TYR will pull back, but I mean, Sharkbot's on 25 probes. Anything can happen in a bot game, but if the behavior doesn't change from Sharkbot, I'm going to be a little bit concerned. As, yeah, take a look. Look at that observer, by the way, how it's being microed. It's like, vroom, vroom. Just give it lots of clicks. Okay, TYR re-rallying, coming in for another attack. That third base, the last base for Sharkbot, going to be getting killed off. And, yeah, the Protoss bot just, like, at some point needs to decide it's going to fight, and it doesn't. Seems to be the case. This may have happened with Sharkbot before, but don't quote me on that. Disruptor goes out. I mean, the Disruptor connections are pretty decent. TYR trying to splits decently, minimizing damage, but still, just the basic Terran attack works out pretty darn well. And that's going to be it. So ladies and gentlemen, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. There's a bit of an engagement, but it's pretty redundant at this point. All those units go down. And yeah. I'll see you guys next time.